to have these 12 law enforcement organizations behind me so early. It's an honor. And why is it such an honor? Because they are the men and women who protect all of us in our streets. They are the men and women who protect us in our courtrooms. They know me, they know my work, they want change. I'm tremendously honored and grateful to them. So let me just talk for a couple of minutes about some of my ideas. Obviously, I reiterate my commitment to prosecute violent crime vigorously and to keep our streets safe. I think you all know that about me and my past. However, it's time to talk about change. It's time to talk about new ideas for prosecuting and law enforcement. It's time to talk about proactivity. And that is what I want to talk about. If I'm privileged to be the next Manhattan District Attorney, that's what you'll see in the office. Everyone here knows that today the economy is in turmoil. It's in turmoil in the city, it's in turmoil in the state, and it's in turmoil in our great nation. And that is going to have an impact on the criminal justice system. So what are we going to do about it? We know that our mayor and we know that our governor have recently made clear that the economy here in New York is going to be greatly challenged. The budget is at a record deficit. Unemployment is rising. This will have an impact on our criminal justice system, and we will face unparalleled challenges to both violent crime and white-collar crime. We need to develop new, creative, bold initiatives to meet these challenges. We need change, not more of the same. We can no longer tolerate the kind of financial irresponsibility and greed that we have seen in these last few weeks bring down so many of our great financial institutions. We must anticipate and act proactively, not to get headlines, but to go after the people who are taking advantage and misrepresenting facts to individuals of our city, to our citizens. We must act proactively but fairly to investigate fraud, be it in predatory lending or misrepresentations to investors, and especially financial fraud against the little person and the small business. Now let me be clear, it's not enough for the Manhattan District Attorney to simply name a new bureau every time he sees some issue in the paper when the resources aren't even behind it. It's not enough for the Manhattan District Attorney to react to some political challenge. The Manhattan District Attorney must proactively seek a partnership working with law enforcement, with business, with educators, with social service agencies, with healthcare organizations, and community groups to address problems before they emerge. We need to counsel people who are at risk for becoming addicted to drugs. We need to counsel people before they commit crimes, and to connect them with job training and education, available jobs, available opportunities, and try to help them avoid making the bad decisions which end up burdening our criminal justice system and cost them years of their lives. In other words, we need to do everything we can to break the cycle of crime. And let me be very direct. We need a DA who seeks to involve herself and her staff in every community personally, by partnering with law enforcement and other groups, as I've discussed, and to present hands-on solutions to the problems, and they may be different problems, facing each community. Be they in problems in the streets, in the schools, or in housing development. Now, as I said before, as to violent criminals, obviously, I support, and always have, tough sentencing and tough punishment, as the men and women behind me well know. But for years, I've been an advocate in supporting diversionary sentencing for drug abusers and nonviolent criminals, if appropriate. And I've been an advocate in supporting options that avoid incarceration for those who engage in nonviolent crime, especially the young, where appropriate. I believe we need to reach out proactively and prospectively to offer clear alternatives where appropriate. A district attorney needs to be a resource as well as a prosecutor. A district attorney needs to speak out proactively on criminal justice issues and to advocate criminal justice reform. A district attorney needs to do justice and not just prosecute crime. The men and women behind me know me. They know my years of work. They've seen me in the courtroom. They've seen me as a prosecutor. And as I've said before, the fact that they support me, they always have, they do now so early, is a tremendous honor for me. It means they want change and they want me, which is a tremendous compliment. And I thank you all again. And I'll just end by saying, I'm Leslie Crocker Snyder, and I'm running for Manhattan District Attorney. Thank you.
What is wrong with Mr. Rosenberg? The Paladino alluded that he's old. What's wrong with being old?
There's nothing wrong with being old at all, and I don't think that's what Mr. Palladino said. What he said was that the office is stale, and that he doesn't believe that Bob Morgenthau is running the office, and I agree with him. He has a staff that's been there 25, 30 years, many of the top people, and they're running the office, and they haven't been elected. But more than that, they are reactive and not proactive. Being old is great, you know? I mean, nothing wrong with that at all. As we get older, we all appreciate how great it is to be old.
Along those lines, actually, I mean, given the fact that he's the longest tenured DA around, actually, and all the talk of term limits, do you think there should be term limits in the DA's office?
I sure have often wished over the last 4 years that there were term limits in the DA's office, I can tell you that. But in general, I think the voters have spoken that they want term limits. However, I feel that 3 terms is absolutely reasonable and fine. And in general, I'm a tremendous fan of Mayor Bloomberg, and I'd love to see him get a 3rd term.
Is there a particular issue that you feel this current district attorney is popular with?
Well, there's so many of them, but let me give you an example. He's been against community courts for years. He was against a felony domestic violence court until I spoke up about it, and then he acceded to it grudgingly. He has mishandled any number of, not all his cases by any means, but let me give you an example, the Palladium case. Until I raised that issue and others raised it during the last campaign, 2 men wrongfully convicted, innocent, in jail, he would not accede to a reversal of that conviction, and for political reasons. There are other cases like that, which you'll be hearing more about in the future.
What's your position on capital punishment? I know in 2005 you supported it, do you still support it?
Actually, that's not true. My opponent, Bob Morgenthau, distorted my view totally, and viciously, I might add. But I guess it's politics, so you have to expect that kind of thing. But I have always been against capital punishment, except in a very limited number of cases. After being asked by District Attorney Janet DeFiore to head a small commission investigating a wrongful conviction case of a 16-year-old who was innocent of a rape and murder and spent 16 years in jail, Jeffrey Deskovic, and seeing everything that happened on both sides, which was so unfair, and after having investigated the Palladium case, which was a travesty of justice in Bob Morgenthau's office, which he not only allowed, but his own prosecutor told him these guys were innocent. He had exculpatory information, he wouldn't turn it over. So I've come to believe, because of all the mistakes that have been made in case after case, that life without parole is a satisfactory solution. Let me try to see if anybody has any. Oh, Tom, you're always good for a question.
Well, I just wanted to follow up on that question about the death penalty. Does that mean that you are now opposed to the death penalty in all cases?
Yes.
So that is a change from...
It's a modification, but you know, one hopes that people evolve when they learn things. And even though one gets older, one can still learn.
May I ask Mr. Paladino, are you opposed to the death penalty?
There is no death penalty.
I mean,
in New
to me,
York.
yeah, it's a moot point because the death penalty in New York State is named by the Constitution. So I don't really think it's an issue in this election at all.
Okay, well, there don't seem to be any other questions, so I want to thank all of you, and I want to thank you all. Thank you so much.